Hey, I just want to say hello to all the listeners out there. This is Jay.
And I'm O.
And we're here for another taping podcast for Fitness Over 30. If you haven't heard about us, go to the website, fitnessover30.com. Anything you want to say, bro?
Hey, man, it's spring. The weather's great. I mean, it just started raining, but just a few minutes ago it was sunshine.
It was sunshine.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day. But, hey, we'll take the rain, too. It makes things grow. So, you know, we're on to another wonderful topic. You want to let them know what we're talking about this week?
So that topic today, exercise variety. And really what we're talking about is if you're going to take the time to exercise,
right,
what do you have to do? What do we all need to do to maximize our results, right? To get
we need to make sure we're doing different things.
Different things. So when you say different things, what happens if you do the same thing? So if I go to the gym and all I'm doing is slamming weights, now I may be picking out different body groups,
right,
but what's wrong with that?
Right. Your muscles are going to gain the memory of that activity, and they're not going to improve over time the way that you would want them to.
And I'm feeling that because, right, I mean, for me, I have a martial arts background, but I do know that there are periods of time when I spend a lot of time in the gym, right? Like right now. Right now I'm going to the gym about at least twice a week, right? Focus on chest. I do a little the leg press, a couple other things.
And you just even made a good point in saying that. You're a martial artist who goes to the gym as well.
Oh, yeah. You can't just focus on one thing.
Right.
But what I did notice is that when I was just focusing on going to the gym and slamming around weights and trying to get the biggest muscles I could get, one thing that I realized is I was getting a lot more stiff.
Right.
So bones were getting, not really bones, but
so you bring a good point. You bring a good point that you have to incorporate stretching into your exercise regimen. And stretching it can come in a number of forms. It's dynamic and static. We have a podcast coming up on stretching, so we'll leave that for a later date to go into all the details of stretching. But know that you should be stretching before and after every workout. You got anything you want to add?
Right, and the dynamic and static, I mean, I think that's a good point too, because okay, so martial arts background, one of the things that they'll do when you first come in, depending on the style, but the style that I was born in was the Tang Sudo Muda Kwan. So when you first start, you're going to spend a lot of time stretching, right? They're trying to loosen you up. You can do a lot more with somebody who can move than a stiff person.
That's right.
Stiff and then static. So when they bring you in, we're like on the floor stretching you out, you're bending over and all that. I would consider that to be static. Dynamic is more of something that I kind of created in my brain. I don't know if this is something that but I call it dynamic stretches because we're doing movements that are similar to martial arts. Static
stretches are ones that you hold, and dynamic you move.
You actually move as you right. So it's to give our listeners an example, it's kind of like you're doing a lengthening of the leg, but it's not really a kick, and you pull your leg up as high as it'll go, and then as soon as you feel a little bit of resistance, and you let that go back down. That's something that I used to do in my classes all the time,
so just get back on subject about, the different forms of exercise. We got water aerobics for the senior population. Me, myself, being a personal trainer, I work with a number of people over the age of 50. And so I encourage a lot of my senior clients to get into the water because if you have knee or back or any issues from ailments, the gravity on the land, once you get in the water, that's removed, and it changes the whole game. So with having bad knees, I love to get in that water and do some jump aerobics that I can't do on the land.
So they say that everybody's the same size in bed and everybody's the same weight in water.
Right.
So once you get into the water, the one thing about the water is that you don't have the same
limitations,
wear and tear on the body. It's not as hard as if you lifting weights and all that stuff.
Kettlebell. I can kick it real good, and I can kick it to the head in the water, but get me on land, and then I have to do some adjustments.
Totally different. Totally different.
That's right.
Water, but this is the other question. Is like, I mean, if I'm one of our listeners, we put it in the mind of the listener, and even myself, because I'm not going to be going to a swimming pool, and I don't live close to an ocean. We Midwesterners. The question is, if I don't have time to go to the swimming pool, or if I don't live close enough to an ocean, is there a substitute? What's the best substitute besides water?
I would say like resistance type of training, more like bands. Weights are great, and I encourage people to do weight training. But when you talk about really getting a real benefit to the muscle, creating length as well as the strength is ideal.
So break this down. What's the difference between lifting a dumbbell as opposed to using a band as resistance.
Exactly. So when you lift a dumbbell, your muscle is going to normally shorten. And normally when you do a band type of movement, it creates length in the muscle.
Okay.
Not to say that you can't shorten the muscle with bands, because you can.
Okay.
But traditionally, if you're exercising with a professional who understands how to lengthen the muscles and understands that that's an important aspect of fitness, then you're going to be put into positions that'll help you to lengthen that muscle.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense then. Yeah. So are there other types of exercise that you would actually want to recommend to our listeners?
Oh yeah, I mean, going back, like we were joking around earlier, and we were talking about the '80s, with Jane Fonda and Richard Simmons. They back in the day, step aerobics was the thing of the day.
Step aerobics, yeah.
You were saying, everybody.
But that was all people were doing too.
Right. They would go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right?
Yes, sir.
And class would start at 6. It might end at 6:50 or 7.
Right.
Everybody felt like they knocked it out the park, which you did.
Right.
Because you were moving.
Right.
But as we learn more about fitness, we know that the variety of fitness also gives you more benefit.
Exactly. So if you go into that aerobics class,
right,
6 to 7, but you're doing that for a long period of time. And what we would typically see, because I never went to a class, so what we would typically see is that you're doing basically the same type of movement.
Exactly.
Right.
And so how we kind of noticed it is because us being the type of guys, we love to challenge ourselves. So we like to Jeff pulled me into martial arts, and so it's been such a blessing that he has, and it's made my training so much different. And could you talk a little bit about that, Jeff, how martial arts and incorporating just that aspect of really pushing yourself beyond a certain limit?
I think the biggest thing, because you kind of work with me in sort of bridging that gap between folks who are trying to lose weight in the fitness world, between the difference between that and the mentality of a martial artist.
Exactly.
Like the mentality of a person that comes and they come to my class, and I'm not actively teaching, but I may teach again. But they come to my class and they say, I want to learn that right there.
Right.
What you're doing right there, I love it. Teach it to me.
It's a big difference.
You know what I'm saying? But that mentality says, I don't care what I have to do to learn that.
Right.
You just show me and tell me what you did, and I'll do it.
Right. I saw that in you when you first started with me in the personal training world. And
right.
That doesn't work.
That don't work. It was like, that's what I'm saying. So it's like
most people aren't as disciplined as they would think they are when it comes to something like that.
So it's really what we're talking about is incentives and motivation.
Right.
So when you're dealing with somebody that's trying to lose weight, like that's their incentive to get into a dress, and they don't really care how they get there, and they want the least amount of pain and the least amount of resistance possible to be able to fit into that dress so they can go to that special occasion, whether it's a wedding or, you know what I mean, like high school reunion, it doesn't really matter. They don't care how you get there. You know what I'm saying? So that mentality is totally different.
Right.
So, so one of the things I think with the art is it's the intensity level.
The intensity level. That's what I wanted you to speak on.
Right. So we as instructors, and every instructor is different, right? But the way I was brought up, and I actually kind of aspire or subscribe to the same way of thinking as my teachers, is that we push our students to go beyond the level of where they think they can actually go themselves.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And that's a good trainer or martial artist job.
It is. Like, I don't care what you did yesterday. I don't care what you did last week. I want to see what you're going to show me today.
That's right.
Even if you ran a perfect form last week and you run it wrong today, I'm going to point out all the things that you ran wrong.
I want to stop you right there because I want to be specific to that, because me working with people who are a little bit older, the same applies, but it applies differently as we get older. So I don't want you thinking that when you're 50 and 60, you need to be pushing yourself to your absolute limit.
Right.
When you get a little older, things change. And so when we say exercise variety and change, that also has to come with adaptation to age as well.
Yeah. And we deal with that in the art as well. And it's
not that you're trying to dumb people down either.
No, we don't.
And not to speak names, but you and I both know we have a client that we both train. She's a survivor of cancer and many other ailments, and she is a fighter and a survivor.
She's a fighter. Yeah.
I mean, we don't limit. We're not talking about limiting yourself, but also know your limits.
Know your limits. But I mean, even in there's a stick form of martial art that we call Balintawai, the Filipino style. In that style, I remember there was a student that was actually, for a period of time, they were in a wheelchair. So a lot of it is upper body movement.
Right.
But just the fact that person was in a wheelchair didn't stop us from training them. And it didn't stop us from treating them the same way as we treat our other students.
Exactly.
The thing about pushing a person to the level, pushing them to their limit. Right? Every person has their own limit.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So as you get older, that never changes.
Exactly. And so in that same sentiment, I got a client. She called me up one day and she said, "Hey, I want to change up the way we train. I've been watching some videos on tactile training." So she challenged me a little bit. I didn't know what tactile training was.
I don't know what that is right now.
I had to research a little bit. But
you
know, when she came, I had some exercises set up for her because I did a little research. I did my due diligence. And so, but she's in her 60s. And so this is a challenging art form. But it speaks to everybody at their own level. And in that variety of exercise, realize that you also need to change that. So don't always do the same intensity either. Because sometimes,
So when you talk about intensity, and we're going to have to wrap it up here soon, but so that's one of the differences that I see with someone who doesn't have some type of martial art experience is that intensity and that level that they go to before they stop. But we have dealt with certain folks in the fitness world where you have to make them stop. Like they will just go. I mean, they'll go till they have till they stroke out on you. Seriously. Like you have to really watch those
now
folks closely.
Tell the listeners a little bit about what you do in your daily life as far as adding variety to your exercise.
Well, and that changes, over the months. I mean, we talk about it. We're always comparing notes.
Always, every day.
But right now, consistently I walk. So it's usually 4 or 5 days out the week. I'll do like a walk sprint.
Yeah, I know you do pace. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, but pace is a little bit different. I don't always do it, but that's even more than just a sprint.
All right.
And it's been cold, so I've been staying away from pace. All
right, so walking?
Walking right now, and then I've been trying to bulk up for the summertime. So I've been going to the gym. I've been slamming the weights around, but not too much. Because again, as you get older, I'm actually using both dumbbells and also barbells as well. So. For those
you're watching that form, watching the form, sure that you're not going overboard.
Little less weight than I used to use when I was in my 20s.
Exactly.
But at the same time, just trying to maintain a certain level of strength. So that's the second thing I do. And then at least once every 2 weeks, I'll spend a whole week just at home, and I'll do like a hybrid of a martial art workout where I do a certain number of kicks, I do some stretching, but a lot of it just incorporates different movements.
And what's the purpose of that exercise, Red?
The purpose of that is keep me limber.
So a little bit of stretching.
Yes, a lot of stretching. Always incorporate that stretching in there.
That's what I was trying to pull from.
And the stretching is the stretching is extremely important. Stretching is one of those things that people need to be doing every day. I don't care who. Even if you don't work out at all, you need to be stretching every day.
That's right. And so. For me, my last thing that I do, the last thing for today for our podcast is I'm going to give you 3 things that I normally do. I'm a Pilates instructor, and I work on the reformer, so stretching is done every day.
You're not just a Pilates instructor, though. You don't taking it to certain levels, a lot of levels that people haven't gone to. So I'm just giving you your props.
I appreciate it. All right, so we do the stretching every day on the reformer. You do your resistance training with the bands. And then we always incorporate that aerobic movement. And lately, I've been having everybody throwing 100 to 200 kicks and punches.
Oh, there you go.
And walking, all of that is good. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.
This has been another full edition of Fitness Over 30. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Enjoy the week. Be blessed.